Battle against climate change. We have a single mission to protect and hand on the planet to the next generation by Mr. Francis Holland. The scientific community has warned that if the greenhouse gas emissions keep increasing, our planet will reach a point of no return. Save Mother Earth. The cry of environmental activists. Climate change is real. It is one of the biggest problems that we face. It is something that people downplay a lot. Say the word climate change and look how people respond and react. The threat of climate change needs to be taken seriously. The way the population is increasing, the pressure on Earth is increasing critically too. How air and water get polluted nowadays. Climate change is a global problem. The continuous change in the climate that is across the world is a threat to our environment and to as well as our society. Climate change is happening due to the high temperature, which is not good to us humans and to our health because it is directly affecting us and the other living organisms. The sudden increase of temperature forms and leads to high heat waves when it is summer and cold waves during winter. Climate change also causes extreme drought, floods, landslides, hurricanes, and other geologic hazards and hydrometeorologic phenomena. Climate change also affects the human's health, that it causes us health diseases such as asthma, heart failures, etc. Factories that releasing waste product is one of the contributors to this destruction. Climate change also affects the water and air, which is one of the human's life essential. Not only the humans, but also the plants and the animals. Also, the constant increase in sea levels in a global scale because of the increase in ocean temperatures, and because of this, the small ice caps and mountain glaciers are melting faster along with the Greenland's and Antarctic ice sheet. Wildfires. The hot and dry conditions cause wildfires to spread across dense forests and make it a perfect recipe for disaster. They not only reduce green cover, but also push forest animals towards higher altitudes. Animals that could not survive become extinct and get their name registered into the list of endangered species. And climate change is also the reason why we have the high and heat temperature. The continuous increases of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere has caused the temperature to rise, which is called a greenhouse effect. And so, enough of these facts, let's go now to the things and ways that we can do to prevent and stop the climate change. At a very young age, like Greta Thunberg, a Swedish teenager environmental activist whose campaigning has gained international recognition, as a teenager we can do a lot of things to contribute to the people who's reducing and preventing the climate change. Do not underestimate the power of the youth and the power of the human. One of the biggest solutions that we can do to prevent the climate change is the 3R, the reduce, reuse, recycle, where we can lessen the amount or usage of plastic bottles and the counts of cutted trees. The second one is the reuse, where we can reuse the things that is reusable. For example, an empty plastic bottles, we can make it as a new jar or a new vase, as scratch papers, old papers, newspapers, magazines, whatever paper used it is, which is used of course, we can make it as a cover of our new jar, which is made from an empty plastic bottle. And yes, we can also use an empty plastic bottles as a building blocks. And we can also sell the papers that are used into a book company because they have their ways in making it into a new one and recycling it. According to Dr. Adrian Rubin, there are some ways to prevent climate change. First is to make your company green. In this, we can lessen the pollution in air. For me, it is better if we lessen the numbers of vehicles and motors that produces smokes, which contributes to the pollution of the air. And if you ever have a vehicle or even a motor, you must start changing its exhaust. If you feel like you need to because it is overused. We also need to be more conservative with energy usage. Let us all, because we really must, lessen the amount of usage of electricity. If you don't really need to do it or use it, then don't. Becoming more energy sufficient is also a great way, to prevent pollution. Make sure to unplug the devices that you are done using and turn off the lights if needed. And we can also change our light bulbs into energy efficient light bulbs to help us save electricity even more. And again, recycling. Manufacturing plants emit a large number of greenhouse gases per year. Its greenhouse effect is necessary for the survival of all of us in this planet, but an increase of these gases beyond a limit will only create harmful effects for us in this environment. During the last century, Earth's average temperature rose by 1 degree Fahrenheit, which in itself is a cause of concern. As you can see, climate change can really be a negative force on our planet. It is time for you to take a look at the things that can be done to help improve the environment and help us to slow down the process of climate change. If we can do that, then the world will be able to be sustainable for much longer. That doesn't mean that the climate change is completely avoidable, though. And let's tackle about some causes and reasons why we are experiencing climate change. First, we need to take a closer look at the greenhouse effect and gain a better understanding of it. When you do this, you will find that this is one of the main causes of the climate changes that are taking place currently. The warming of our atmosphere is actually happening because of the atmosphere is continuing to trap the heat that radiates from the Earth and traps in between Earth and space. There are gases that can play a part in the greenhouse effect, and most of these gases will actually block the heat. This is what happens to force climate change, and this is the part that we can do that much about other than going green, which we call the greenhouse effect. The volcanic eruptions, volcano releases a large amount of sulfuric dioxide, water vapor, dust, and ash into the atmosphere when it erupts. These large volumes of gases and ash can trigger climate change by increasing planetary reflectivity, causing atmospheric cooling. Aerosols are tiny particles that are produced by volcanoes. Aerosols remain in the atmosphere for only a few days and reflect solar energy back into space. They have a cooling effect on the world. Ocean situations. Variations in ocean's currents can also influence the climate change for short periods of time. Ocean currents move vast amounts of heat across the planet. Movement of cold water deep under the oceans towards the regions near the equator and movement of warm water near the equator back towards the pole play an important role in determining the atmospheric concentration of CO2. And so, in the production of goods that we use on a regular basis, and that is all the information I gathered from Rinkish. However, a cleaner alternative would be to invest in recycling. And lastly, we need to speak up. Let your voice be heard. This is to inform the government and how they will give solution to the problem. We really have a lot of ways to prevent and fight against the climate change. If you really want to help into this battle, advocate yourself first, and then educate the others. Because even a small and the least way, it has a big impact and effect into our situation. Big time. Climate change is no longer a doomsday prophecy. It's reality. By Astrid Nocklibe Heiberg. Battle Against Climate Change.